Now for our story. The new Mrs. Meade still took a bride's delight in taking care of her house. The young couple were living in Lefty Larkin's little cottage near the road on the Lane farm. Fixing the place up had been Lefty's surprise wedding present to them, and though at first they both secretly felt they would have preferred the flat they had chosen, by now they had settled down happily. So far as privacy was concerned, they were left very much to themselves. The family had agreed not to drop in except by special invitation. And on the other hand, if Peggy ever felt lonesome during the day, she always knew she could run up to Aunt Mary's for a chat. Well, this morning, the happy young woman is out in the kitchen when she hears a special knock at the freshly painted front door.
Come in.
Hey, where are you, honey?
I'm out here in the kitchen. Come on back.
My, what a busy little bee you are.
Good morning, Lefty. Gee, I'm glad to see you.
Are you really? I felt kind of guilty coming down without warning.
What is this? You going formal? My goodness, Lefty, you don't need an engraved invitation.
No, but just the same, you wouldn't want us traipsing in and out all hours of the day.
No danger of that. You're all too busy.
Well, I figure I'm eligible for a pat on the back anyway. You'd be surprised how many times I've restrained the impulse to drop in for a little visit.
Lefty, whenever you feel that way, please do it.
Well, we'll see.
Well, how are things going at the big house today?
It's a little early to tell. Aunt Mary's doing the egg account.
Oh, dear, she hates that job, too.
No, I wouldn't say she hates it exactly. But I guess there may be a few other things she'd prefer doing. Trouble is, she's the only one who seems to be able to make them come out right.
I know. I tried to do them once when she was visiting Dell in Chicago. What a mess.
Arithmetic's never been my long suit either.
Well, if you were my father, I'd say my mathematical failings were inherited.
Yeah. As it is, we'll just say it's an acquired characteristic.
Or adaptation to environment.
My, aren't we being scientific today?
And so early in the morning, too.
By the way, am I interrupting anything?
Oh, no. I was just getting ready to polish the silver. All 8 pieces of it.
8 pieces, isn't it? You'll have more as the years go by.
Oh, sure. Lefty, this morning I got to dreaming about it. I mean, about having a daughter of my own someday and handing it over to her. Sort of daydreaming.
Nothing wrong with daydreaming, honey. It'd be a sorry world if people couldn't look forward and wonder about the future.
No, I suppose not. Only sometimes when you look ahead, you can foresee a lot of trouble. And then if there's nothing you can do to stop it, you feel so helpless. And it isn't as if that Mary didn't know. I tried to tell her, but she acts as if there's nothing to worry about. She doesn't take it seriously, but I...
Oh, slow down, honey. Now, suppose you pull up the curb and park for a minute. What's this all about? Aunt Mary doesn't know what about who.
But that's just it. She knows, but she's so nonchalant.
She is, huh?
Yes. Doesn't seem to bother her. You can't get any satisfaction from Randy. He can be such an irritating person sometimes.
You want to start at the beginning, honey? I'm not dumb, but I'm not much good at thought reading either.
It's about Kitt Calvert. Kitt and Randy.
So that's it. Well, honey, I think we both feel the same way about Kitt.
You seem to be the only person in this family who agrees with me about her, Lefty. It isn't that I wish her any harm, but...
Yeah, I know.
You know something, Lefty? I honestly believe Randy's fallen in love with her.
With Kitt Calvert? Oh, no, Peggy.
You remember when Randy and I had that quarrel one day when he was on his way to see her? That night I was awfully ashamed of myself. And you and Aunt Mary both poo-pooed the idea he was serious about Kitt in anything but a friendly way.
Yeah, I remember.
At the time, I decided maybe you were right, that I was imagining things. But now... Oh, Lefty, I love Randy too much. I don't want him to be unhappy.
Gosh, honey, of course not. Neither do I.
And I'm just as sure as anything Kitt would make him unhappy. She's too wrapped up in herself to care about anyone else.
Well, she always has been, that's for sure. And I'll admit I wasn't any too happy about Randy's getting mixed up in her case to begin with. I said at the time she'd probably get her claws into him somehow.
I know you did. This is one time, Lefty, when I'm afraid we're right and Aunt Mary's wrong.
Well, honey, it's one thing about your aunt. She never pretends to be infallible. Darn it all, she usually does turn out to be.
Well, just the same, it seems to me we have to have the courage of our convictions, too. I've been watching Randy very closely these last weeks. He's changed, Lefty.
Well, he's been a little quiet, a little serious for him. But don't you think maybe it's this new business deal he's interested in?
You mean the real estate office?
Yeah.
Well, I know he's making plans and all that. But I also know he's spending a lot of time thinking about other things, too. About Kitt.
Are you basing this theory on something definite, honey, or is it just feminine instinct?
No, it's not. For one thing, I'm not the only one who's noticed the way Randy's been acting. You say you have. And there's someone else who has, too.
Yeah?
Lily Devine. I saw Lily in town yesterday. We had quite a talk about it. In fact, she was the one who brought the subject up.
Oh, Lily, huh? I mean, what'd she say?
Well, Randy was up looking at that vacant office in the Porter building. It was lunchtime, and we were waiting to talk about rent and such with Mr. Porter. So I went out to get sandwiches and coffee. I ran into Lily, and she decided to go up and say hello. When I got back a little while later, Lily was just going downstairs. I asked her why she was leaving so soon. You know how Lily talks.
Yeah, she kids a lot.
Well, this time she was kidding on the level. She said something about not being able to carry on a conversation with a man in Randy's state of mind. Said he was carrying the torch for Kitt. In fact, Lily told me she'd suspected it for quite a while. And Lefty, she's pretty smart where men are concerned. And remember, Lily doesn't learn half so well as we do. So if even she's noticed something funny in the way Randy's been acting, then it can't be just our imagination.
No.
You sound kind of doubtful, Lefty.
Well, I was just thinking...
Well, what? For heaven's sake, Lefty, if you have any ideas, let's talk them over. This is serious. Well, Randy's whole future might depend on it. And I certainly don't intend to sit back and watch without trying to do something.
Peggy, did you ever notice the way Lily acts when she's around Randy?
Well, no, not particularly. But they get along awfully well.
Oh, yeah, sure. But a couple of times when she's been out here to dinner, it struck me Lily was kind of, subdued when Randy's around. Well, usually she's talking a mile a minute, full of the old Nick. But the minute Randy shows up, she gets sort of flustered. I may be wrong, of course, but that's the way it seemed to me.
Wait a minute, Lefty. Maybe I'm the one who's been dumb. Somehow I never thought of Lily. And... You think she... Yeah.
You know me, honey. I'm not very smart about young women, what goes on in their heads. Well, their hearts either, for that matter.
Yes, you are. You always understand the way I feel.
Well, that's different. I've known you practically all your life. I've watched you grow up.
Don't underestimate yourself. You know a lot more about the way a girl takes than ever so many men do. So far as Lily's concerned, I believe you caught something I ought to have noticed myself. If I hadn't been so concerned about the Kitt thing, I should have realized. I remember lots of things Lily said. Just little things. Maybe that's why she's been so quick to catch on about Randy and Kitt. Of course she would if she's in love with him.
Personally, I think Lily's a good kid. I used to see her as pretty hard-boiled, but since she's been living in Wakefield, I find out I was all wrong.
Oh, Lily's a fine person, Lefty. And you know something? She'd be wonderful for Randy. She's pretty and honest and normal, not all mixed up like Kitt. Lily and Randy. Now, that seems natural. If only Randy would... Well, Lefty, there ought to be some way to get those two together, and I'm going to find it. Kitt Calvert's not going to ruin Randy's life. Not if I can help it.
But Peggy might not be so confident if she knew of a promise her cousin made to Kitt Calvert. A promise made before the young woman was sentenced to serve a term of from 1 to 3 years in prison. Randy gave his solemn word that he would wait, keep his life free of entanglements, until Ben Calvert's daughter is released.